You know, I think to myself about this Karl Popper post here. True ignorance is not the absence of knowledge, but the refusal to acquire it. When you try and have a conversation about changing the world, try to have a conversation with people about what it is that this progressive movement is all about, what it's supposed to do, what do you want to get from it, right? What do you want your family to get from it? What is it that you're looking to achieve? You got a lot of people that have a religious belief in things that may or may not have any validity whatsoever. It's a core belief, not a fact, not science, not truth, just a belief. The only way that you can actually learn something new is to get rid of the old shit, the garbage that's filling your mind. Keep the important stuff that is provable, fact-based, truth-based, and allow new information to come in. Now, going back to when I was a kid, you know, I followed Metallica around like they were God. Anything James Hetfield said was like it was a spoken from God. Anything that Metallica did was as if God himself had spoken it. Same thing with people like Dave Mustaine of Megadeth and Maynard James Keenan of Tool. Any of these band guys back in the day, man, they made you feel like the words were coming and there was just no other possible truth than what you heard. And a lot of the stuff, with all due respect to them, was gibberish. You know, a lot of the stuff they said spoke to a young man's rebellion, spoke to a young guy's heart that wanted to just lash back at mom and dad for being too hard on them. But the reality is that there's a point in time where you start shedding a boy's angst. You start bringing on a man's reality. You start bringing on an adult's reality. And you have to either A, you can be that old curmudgeon that sits there in a dark room bitching about everything. No facts involved. They're not interested in solutions. They've just gotten so jaded with the world that the only answer that is right at all is it's all got to go. It's all got to be burned down. There's nothing of value here. I know you know what I'm talking about. This is a teenager's mindset. You know, they don't understand. So rather than actually try to understand, they just sort of say things, right? Now, you'd like to believe that that mindset vanished in youth, that was just the mind of a youth, you know, just that angst and the anger and the rage of not being able to express it. And it comes out in music, or it comes out in some TV show, or it comes out in some new edgy trend. But let me tell you, as adults, we see it in a great many things. I'm going to talk about Bitcoin for a minute. Now, Bitcoin, I've seen a lot of friends made an awful lot of money buying low, holding, selling, whatever. They used it as an investment and they made money. Good for you. I had a lot of friends when I was growing up in the telecom industry who were close to vendors like Cisco and, Alcatel and Lucent, Juniper. A lot of these folks that really were close to these things bought low, made a fortune. They're living out there in McLean, Virginia now in some McMansion, you know. And the rest of us, we missed, right? We missed the big opportunity to win by throwing some money at this gamble and winning on the other side. That's an investment. And when I try to explain to people that the United States government alone is the one that can create laws and can create the dollar, and therefore by which demand payment be made in the dollar and pay your taxes in the dollar, and that the United States dollar, whether they turned it into a cryptocurrency, use it in quarters, nickels, and dimes, or pieces of paper, or personal cards, or some freaking chip they insert in your forehead that you have to scan, or whether it be in your wrist with a barcode, whatever the next generation of government crap is, it doesn't matter. It's just a technology. You can call it the dollar. You can call it the bureau. You can call it the bellyache. I don't care. The bottom line is that the government's unit of account is not going to crash. The government's unit of account is tied to the real resources of the nation. It's tied to the government's ability to do what it wants to do, which is set the price to provision itself. Now, I got into a long conversation with a good friend tonight. They came to me and they had a million things. So I'm going to read some of this. I'm not going to mention his name because it would be wrong, because he wasn't being a jerk. He just didn't know any better. So he goes, starts off, you can't just keep printing money and hoping all is well. Then he says, our current financial system is imploding. Few seem to realize it. Like he's got this inside track on something nobody else would know. And I'm like, how do you know the secret? Anyway, he goes, you can't just keep printing money and hoping all is well. Taxes should be illegal, in my opinion. Taken by force seems anywhere else as a crime. But not the government. They take whatever they decide they want. Income tax was what? Put in play to pay for wars never meant to be something that was supposed to affect every person for their entire lives. Our government borrows money against it. They take out of our paychecks for Social Security as they please, and is on the verge of taking money out of Social Security checks from people. Is that okay? Righteous anger, right? And then I say, listen, dude, lots of shoulds, little understanding. I mean this in the nicest way possible. You cannot learn new things if you're approaching a subject from a point of thinking that you know everything. I am literally in the know on this. And I am telling you, point by point, you're wrong. Now, he goes, okay, so what exactly am I wrong about? Now, the list was long. Everything he said down to the nth was literally wrong. Literally wrong. He says, the government doesn't take money out of Social Security? And I said, wow, this is too much to do in chat, my friend. I said, but no, it doesn't. Not one penny. Because Social Security is nothing more than a spreadsheet. Oh boy, that set the trail of fire. I said, read this again. And I had sent him a tweet that I had made. And I said, print more money. It's a circuit. It's a circuit. A government spends money into existence via appropriations. Then it taxes some of it out of existence. If government spending is printing money, then government taxation is unprinting money. Now, he goes, I said, now I want you to read this link. I said, will you promise me you'll read this link? And I sent him Warren Mosler's 7 Deadly Innocent Frauds. And I said, read this link, and then you and I can have a conversation. Because to get you to the point where we could have this conversation on even footing would require a tremendous amount of texting on a touchscreen phone that I just don't have the patience for, quite frankly. So he comes back a little while later. And I thought that he was going to wait till the morning, but I guess he jumped on it. He goes, okay, I read the first 15 pages and I understand as much. He goes, makes a lot of sense, Steve. Going to bed. I'll talk to you in the morning. I thought that was pretty cool. He came barreling into the conversation full of beliefs, lots of beliefs, none of which were founded in an ounce of truth. A lot of folklore that people pass around, but none of it was truthful. He's not a liar. Guy's a nice guy. He's one of my friends. I care about him immensely. He's just wrong. He just doesn't understand. So for those of you who are interested in learning about Social Security, go to Warren Mosler's book, 7 Deadly Innocent Frauds, and go to innocent fraud number 4. You'll learn all about it. It's kind of hard to explain to folks that the government takes money out for Social Security, keeps a running log of how much you've dumped into it. But what they don't tell you is, like with all of these things, it's just keystrokes, it's just electronic digits. They're deleted from the system. And when you need to receive your first payment, they're keystroked into existence. There's no logical tie-in to the amount you put in and the amount you get out. Now, we may do this so that you feel good about buying into the process, but there is no Ponzi scheme because the government is the wellspring from which all the money comes from. Is that clear? That's a pretty straightforward answer right there, right? The money starts with keystrokes out of thin air. The metalists, for those of you who don't know, that's the commodity-based money people. The people that are like, well, you're going to devalue my dollar. What's the value of the dollar? What is backing the dollar? It's got to be gold. It's got to be oil. It's got to be something. No, we have a tax-driven currency, just like all fiat currencies are that are free-floating. So what is the obsession with believing that the government's running out of money, that Social Security is going to go bankrupt? What is the religious reason why we do this? The doomsday sales pitch resonates with people every freaking day, just like the religious people believe that Armageddon's coming and the end of the world is nigh. It's here. When the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse come. What does matter is that when we talk about fighting for a progressive agenda, when I think of that, I think of equality. I think about the basic needs of all citizens, from education to food to shelter to health care. I think about making sure our infrastructure is sound and solid and well maintained. I think about every citizen having access to a guaranteed job. I think of expanding Social Security so that every person that needs an income can have an income, whether they're capable of working or not. I support a great many things, but none of those, not one, from green energy to eliminating student debt, is going to be achieved by a private cryptocurrency. Why is that? First of all, the U.S. government is the creator of the dollar. It can create as many dollars as it needs to, and it can wipe out whatever debt it wants to. The other thing, quite frankly, is that the cryptocurrencies out there are on wild swings, flying all around, up and down. So you'll never see someone say, well, you know, I bought that car for 12 Bitcoin. You're going to see them use their Bitcoin maybe to exact the transaction, just like PayPal or any number of things. The difference is it's just a store of account. It's like an envelope that holds US dollars, if you will. This is not the technical definition, so all the fetishizers with the neck beards can slow down. Down, Simba. I'm giving an analogy. So what we're talking about here, though, is a commodity. It's being bought and sold and traded. You start cutting away the reality. The reality is that the anarcho-libertarians, the crypto-fascists, are looking to bring the government down. They think they're bringing the government to its knees through a private sector solution, a free market solution. Now ask yourself, if you're a socialist or you are in some way, shape, or form fighting for a New Deal, a Green New Deal, Medicare for all, free college, national infrastructure, a job guarantee, expanded Social Security, hell, housing. Imagine telling me that Bitcoin is going to supplant the US dollar to do that. There's no basis in fact for any of that. Bitcoin cannot get rid of 1.4 trillion in student loans. If Bitcoin was so great, right now Puerto Rico desperately needs help. Why haven't we used Bitcoin to bail out the Puerto Ricans? Think about it. Because it's not a state currency. It's not. It is an investment. It is a commodity. And it's creating a new set of wealthy people. And then consider the amount of energy that mining a single Bitcoin requires for you green energy people out there, for you environmentalists. You begin to realize the hypocrisy of it all. You begin to realize that there's nothing about this that has anything to do with helping my autistic son and other kids like him get the medical treatment that they need. You realize that you're only expanding the free market. You're only expanding capitalism. You're only doing an investment. And it is not a public purpose thing. The idea of you're going to bring down the banks. My eyes rolled back so far I could see my brain playing the game of believing that somehow or another Bitcoin is going to supplant the dollar. Ask yourself this. Have you ever seen the nation stand up and fight for a New Deal? Forget a band of 50 people showing up at some march. Have you seen a consistent, focused effort, a campaign, not just activism, protesting with your fist in the air? An organized, systematic fight for a New Deal. Have you ever seen it in your lifetime? Yes or no? The answer is no. You've never seen it. You can't get progressives to focus on a New Deal for more than 5 minutes before they start talking about Bitcoin, or they start talking about the Rothschilds, or they start talking about some other religious belief that they have, some non-actionable bullshit. Every time someone tells me it's all hopeless and futile, I ask, when have you seen the people unite and take to the streets in knowledge that they need Medicare for all, in knowledge that they need to end wars for oil and go to full-blown green energy yesterday? When have you ever seen a massive, coordinated, non-election year drive for this behavior? You've never seen it. And so guess what's going to happen during the election years when you try to hold them to a pledge or when you try to hold them to some other campaign promise? It's going to fall flat on its face. And I'll tell you why. You didn't do the footwork between now and then. You got sidetracked going to protest for Donald Trump's tax returns. You got sidetracked telling all your friends about how awesome your investment portfolio is and all the different cryptocurrencies you've gone and invested in. You couldn't stay focused long enough to create the momentum that takes years to build. So when you get people to make pledges and things like that, they're only as good as your ability to back them up. And that requires an organization. That requires a team on the street and in the cockpit, commanding and directing and keeping a sustained initiative in the election years and the off-election years. There is no such thing as an end to a campaign like this. It has to be sustained day in, day out. It must be sustained. We have an incredible amount of inequity in this country, be it gender, be it race, be it age, be it geography, be it the way you were born, the lottery of parents by family line. But at the end of the day, we have never stayed committed and united in fighting for a New Deal. You've never seen it in your lifetime. And if you have seen it, God bless you. You're an older individual, and I applaud you for sticking around for the next show. Because it's been that long since our country had that kind of forward thinking. And because people don't understand the way the monetary system works, or because they don't understand how federal financing works, do you think for a minute, once you understand how the stuff works, you can call bullshit? You can call bullshit. And you can begin dreaming again. You can begin imagining a better future than even New Deal politics would give you. The world becomes a truly incredible place with incredible opportunities. But you're not going to get it from a political party. You're not going to get it from the new third parties right now because they're too busy trying to gather people into their fold, too busy trying to make nice with everybody, afraid to make ruffles because the name of the game is not to upset anyone. Play it safe. People are wondering, well, what is your platform going to be? Why is this even remotely controversial? It should be a New Deal. There's your instant walk in the door, friggin' turnkey solution for a progressive agenda. The new goddamn deal. The second Bill of Rights. My God, if we had that, our lives would change immeasurably for the better. And if they actually understood economics, they wouldn't even have to raise your taxes and take money out of working families' hands to make it happen. It's important to not allow Occupy Democrats to give you economic advice. Let me tell you something. The biggest lie that's ever been pulled over any of us is the idea that when the government spends, it will cause inflation. There is no greater lie that has been pulled on the American people than the belief that if the government spends, we're all going to die from inflation. You can thank Milton Friedman, the godfather of neoliberalism, for that. The government is not going broke. It can do great things. So why are the Bitcoiners out there claiming that the collapse of the dollar is coming? Why are they running around screaming from the heights, oh my God, if you don't buy Bitcoin, the world's going to end, you're going to be stuck. The whole system's falling apart. Who benefits from that? Ask yourself, who benefits from that lie? The next thing they start doing is saying, what happens when the dollar is no longer the world reserve currency? And that's when you go, oh my God. God, what happens when the world's current reserve currency isn't the dollar? What happens? Oh my God. We're all going to die. Buy Bitcoin. Oh my God. It's always fear porn. And it's always going after the boogeyman that was created because Congress doesn't spend on the people. And because Congress is neoliberal and doesn't spend on the people, and the people buy the lie, the private banksters have their way with us because most of the money in the circulation right now is bank-denoted IOUs in the government's unit of account. Not new money. They didn't go out and print new money. They created IOUs, loans that create deposits that zero out when paid off. Like old George over here. All great truths begin as blasphemies. Your taxes don't pay for spending at the federal level. Get over it. Your taxes and bonds do pay for state and local spending. When your state budgets are dried up and they want to raise taxes and the businesses leave your state, do you think there might be another solution that would fix the problem? These things come and they go. But ultimately, our greatest enemy is ignorance. Our ignorance empowers our oppressors. As long as you're dumb and religiously stubborn and holding to your beliefs, they'll continue to use the same exact lie to keep us from success. Shame on them for lying to us. Shame on the opportunists for preying on your fear. Shame on the capitalists for devising these strategies to get rich based on your fears. Shame on all of them. And people won't change either. The refusal to acquire knowledge is really what is killing us. Folks, I try not to make this stuff up if I can help it. I try and come out here every night and tell you as much truth as I can fit into a live stream. A federal job guarantee would take every single person in every single impoverished area across America, and if implemented around the world, but in America, and it would give them a living wage. It would give them benefits like Medicare for all, free college, you name it. And depending upon how each local community administered it, it could give them tools for achieving even greater dreams in their lives. That is progressive policy. That is saving lives. Some jackass who bet big on Bitcoin a few years ago might be like Bill Gates giving some money away to charity someday. But that is not the same as providing a federal job guarantee, Medicare for all, getting rid of student debt, green energy yesterday. Does this make any fucking sense?